Welcome. Today we're giving attention to one of the most overworked and most ignored parts of the body, the wrist and hands. Think about everything your hands do in a day: typing, scrolling, gripping, writing, cooking, driving. Your hands and wrists are almost never at rest, and yet they are almost never stretched, strengthened, or mobilized intentionally. For many people, this neglect shows up as wrist pain, carpal tunnel symptoms, tension in the forearm, stiffness in the fingers, or that dull ache at the base of the thumb that comes from too much phone use. For yogis, it shows up as a wrist pain in downward dog or plank, for musicians as repetitive strain, for desk workers as numbness and tingling. Whatever brings you here today, this class is going to address the wrist and hands from every angle: mobility, strength, circulation, and release. You can do this seated in a chair or on the floor. So let's begin. Wrist circles. Extend both arms in front of you at a shoulder height. Make loose fist and begin drawing slow circles with your wrist outwards 8 times, and then we'll do it inwards 8 times. Both moving in the same direction outwards. The wrist joint is actually a complex of 8 small carpal bones held together by ligaments. It has the capacity to move in every plane: flexion, extension, radial deviation, ulnar deviation, and rotation. But most of us use only a tiny fraction of that range in a daily life. Make sure you do it on both directions. And these circles begin to restore the full circumferential mobility of the wrist joint. They also increase synovial fluid production and lubricating fluid inside the joint, which is wonderful. Now we're going for finger spreads and wrists 8 to 10 times. You bring your hands in front of you, spread the fingers, and then squeeze into a fist. You can hold it for a second or two in each position. This alternating spread and squeeze is one of the best exercises for hand circulation. The muscles of the hand, the intrinsic muscles, the thenar and hypothenar groups, are rarely strengthened deliberately, so this activates all of them. Wonderful. And it also helps our lymphatic drainage in the fingers and reduces the puffiness and stiffness that many people experience first thing in the morning. 8 to 10 times. Breathing in your comfortable seated position and relax. Beautiful. Now we're going to go into thumb circles and opposition. Focus on the thumb. Draw slow circles with your thumbs outwards 8 times and then inwards 8 times. The thumb accounts for approximately 40% of hand function. The basal joint of the thumb, where it meets the wrist, is one of the most common sites of arthritis and repetitive strain injury, particularly from phone use. And then we're going to go to the opposition. So you're going to bring each finger to your thumb and squeeze them. We're going to go back and forth about 3 to 4 times. Touch your thumb off the tip of it with the middle finger, ring finger, pinky, index finger, and back. This activates the opponent's pollicis muscle in the meridian nerve pathway, the same nerve affected in carpal tunnel syndrome. Moving it intentionally keeps it healthy. So it's a great exercise. And we're going to move on to our wrist flexor stretch. Extend your right arm in front of you, palm facing up, with your left hand gently taking it back towards you, stretching, creating a nice stretch through the underside of the wrist and forearm. These are the wrist flexors, the muscles that run along the inner forearm and are responsible for gripping, typing, and pulling. 3 to 5 breaths on one side, and now we're going to switch it to the other arm. These stretches are beautiful for these chronically shortened and overworked muscles in our forearms, in people who use computers and phones a lot. And they tighten and they pull the wrist into a compressed position and reduce circulation to the carpal tunnel. And now we're going to do the same thing with the wrist extensor stretch. So the palm is facing down and we're pulling the fingers towards us with the left hand. Again, 3 to 5 breaths on one side. And wrist extensors are the muscles most commonly involved in tennis elbow and mouse elbow, the chronic lateral elbow pain that comes from too much gripping and extending. Doing the same thing on the other side. So stretching them regularly is one of the simplest and most effective ways to prevent and manage the condition. Good. Now we're going to go into a prayer and reverse prayer. So bring your palms together in prayer position at the center of your chest. Press them gently together and begin to lower them towards your navel and turn your fingertips towards your chest, feeling the stretch deepen through the inner wrist and forearms. Hold for 3 to 5 breaths, whatever is possible for you. Keep that pressure in, shoulders down. Deep breath in and out. And release. And now we're going to try our reverse prayer. Bring the backs of your hands together behind your back and try to flip them so the palms face each other, fingers pointing upward. If this isn't available today for you, simply hold opposite elbows behind your back instead. Reverse prayer is a deep stretch for the wrist extensors and the anterior forearm, and it also opens the chest and shoulders simultaneously. It asks the wrist to go into extension in a way they almost never do in daily. And relax. Now let's move on to a tabletop wrist weight bearing exercises. Come onto hands and knees, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, and begin to shift your weight forward and back about 6 to 8 times. No force. Many people have wrist pain in this position, and the solution is not to avoid it, but to build toward it gradually. So begin by just noticing how the wrist feels with your weight on it. Then gently rock forward and slightly shift the weight little by little. Again, as I said, 6 to 8 sets, whatever is possible for you, rocking back and forth. And then we're going to try the same things with the fingertips facing to the sides and rocking forward and back. This gradual weight bearing builds the wrist flexor and extensor strength that makes a position like downward dog and plank pain-free over time. No force, no rush, patience, and listening to your body. Beautiful. And then we're going to try to flip the fingertips toward your knees and rock gently again. This is the hardest possibly. Each rotation changes the angle of load on the wrist and strengthens it from different directions. Doing 8 or 6 rockings or 4. You can start this as minimal as possible. Work your way towards 8 sets. Beautiful. We're going to release and shake now. So stand up or stay on your knees or sit down. Let your arms hang loosely by your sides and begin shaking your hands completely limp, completely relaxed, like you're trying to shake water off your fingertips. Let the shake travel up to your wrists, the forearms, the elbows. Let it be silly, let it be loose. This nervous system release called neurogenic shaking in some therapeutic traditions discharges accumulated tension from the muscles and fascia of the hands and arms. It increases peripheral circulation almost immediately. And now we're just going to do our last circles before we finish. Just like we started, so sit at a comfortable position if you're not already and start circling 8 times outwards and 8 times inwards. Our final wrist circles, this time even slower if you wish it. Let the circles be large and fluid. Let your hands feel the difference from the first time you did it today to now. Circulation, the warmth, the ease of the movement. Synchronize with your breathing. Loose fingers, no force, letting that flow just move comfortably. And we're gonna close. Let your wrists and hands rest on your knees. Short, targeted, and incredibly effective when you do this exercises consistently. If you deal with carpal tunnel symptoms, wrist pain in yoga, or general forearm tension, I recommend doing this every single day. It takes less than 15, about 10 minutes, and cumulative effect of weeks is remarkable. Leave a comment below. Do you feel tension more in your wrists, your forearms, or your fingers? I read every single one of them. So let's breathe together. Lift the arms up above the sky. Hands in prayer, exhale. I have new class every Thursday. Subscribe and I will see you next week. Namaste.